striving for greatness, trying to make it out, we're stuck in the matrix. Man, my auntie passed last night. This is a sad life, I'm trying to get my cash.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. I am back with a cosmological transmission. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. But today we're going to be talking about how the Armageddon alerts is interconnected to esoteric biblical prophecy that's orchestrated by divine cosmic order that's equated to the energy of the solar eclipses. Because the solar eclipses is basically the return of the ancestral energy, right? That activates the solar cells, which are melanocytes, that's converted into a high form of intelligence that sparks the soul of man, which are Holy Ghost particles, which are basically nitroids, right? So that's why it's imperative to understand that you're supposed to ground yourself in the planet to harmonize with the earth to get these codons from the earth when it's being activated by a solar eclipse, right? So we're going to get into that later. But what you got to understand is that the solar eclipse that we just had in April 420 is basically 354 days apart from the solar eclipse that we're going to have on April 8th, 2024. So when you add up all the numbers on 354, it equates to the number 12. Now, 12 is the symbology of cosmic order. 12 also is a representation of space and time, and it's also equated to 12 other groups on the esoteric level, right? Also, what you got to understand is that 12 is also equated to the divine mother, right? Because that's why when you have these solar eclipses, the total solar eclipse that we just had in 2017 in August 21st, that was the last total solar eclipse that we just had. And then the other one we're going to have in 2024, that is basically going to put an X over the planet, right? And that X is equated to a divine feminine energy taking back the planet that's connected to a matriarchal energy, right? So that's why the 12 is also a representation of completion when you're talking about many other, thought forms that's connected to different forms of theology, right? So now you also have an annual solar eclipse that's on my birthday, October 14th. That's why my name is 1014, BDL 1014. So that is basically the precursor to the follow-up of the next solar eclipse that we're going to have in 2024. Which is the big solar eclipse that's going to put an X over the planet, because 12 is also esoteric symbology of judgment. Also, the number 7 is also equated to judgment as well, because it's equated to evolution and alignment, right? So now, like I said, it's going to create an X over the planet. So in April 8th, 2024, that is the total solar eclipse. My birthday, October 14th, is an annual solar eclipse, and it creates an X over the planet. But that's not the big, shebang. That's not the grand finale, right? Because the big solar eclipse that happened was in August 21st, and it puts an X right over where you see Carbondale, Illinois at, right? So that's why it's imperative to understand, the metaphysical codex of the Bible. It's a Freemasonic playbook that's about everything that's going to be taking place on the planet. Because this solar eclipse on April 8th goes through 7 cities called Salem, right? And Salem, it is an esoteric symbology to Islamic belief systems that's connected to the Moorish paradigm, right? Because the Moorish paradigm is connected to a matriarchal energy, which is the inception of the United States geographical landmass, right? Because it's activated by a republic. But the 7 cities, it goes through Salem, Kentucky, Salem, Indiana, Salem, Ohio, Salem, New York, Salem, Missouri, Salem, Texas, and I believe another one is Salem, Pennsylvania, right? So that's why it's imperative to understand that Salem is also equated to the valley of the shadow of death, right? Because when you understand the esoteric principles of the Bible, right? We're going to get into some theological context. Because when you understand that, it says in Joel 3:14, right? Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of the decision for the day of the Lord in the near valley decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. Jerusalem, which is basically equated to Salem at the end of the word, right? Because I told you the 7 cities that the solar eclipse passes is equated to the valley of the shadow of death, the 7 cities. 7 is also equated to judgment as well, right? And the heavens and the earth shall shake, and the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel, right? So now, when you understand that codex of it, right? The total solar eclipse is also equated to the black sun, which is equated to the Jesuit order. Because what you got to understand is that Vatican became a city-state 56 days after Saturnalia. 56 is also equated to the Jason Society, that's also connected to the Society of Jesus, which is the Jesuit order, right? Which is also equated to the date of 5/6/2025, right? So all this stuff is all interconnected to etymology, esoteric, Vedic numerology. It's all interconnected. You can't be so one-dimensional when it comes to this information, because you're going to get lost in the sauce. Because that's how you break everything down on the esoteric level, right? You got to understand numerology. You also got to understand biblical context. That's the problem. People read the Bible like it's a children's book. It's not a children's book. It's a multi-layered book with esoteric information, right? So now it says the total solar eclipse in 2024 will take place, which is basically equated to 56 in numerology, right? So you also, I forgot a few cities. Let me see on my other monitor screen. So that total solar eclipse, like I said, it passes through 7 cities, right? In the United States geographical landmass. Because you also got to understand that Salem, right, is also across from a city called Carbondale, Illinois, which is called Little Egypt, right? Because we all know that the inception of everything on the planet, the oldest geographical landmass is actually America, because you got the oldest pyramids and things of that nature. You have pyramids in Carbondale, Illinois. It's not a coincidence. It's called Carbondale, Illinois. Carbon is the building block of all civilization, right? So that's why I'm saying X is marks the spot, which equates to judgment, right? A judgment by coming from up under the artificial time analysis mechanism from the Canaanite rulership that was given to them by the Black nobility draconian archons, right? So like I said, this is going to be the inception point of the Great Purification, which is a form of galactical judgment by the Most High, who is Elion Elion El Anu, the supreme architect of the universe of the Anunnaki. I forgot a few things here because it's a lot of information I'm going over tonight. Make sure I ain't forgetting nothing. So, with that being said, that's why they've been putting out these alerts, right? All these alerts that you see now, it came out in 2023 of April 23rd. It says, what is the government emergency alarm? So now it's imperative to understand that you need these alerts on. It's not a form of fear mongering, but like I said, you got to have understand the diametrical difference between edification and fear mongering, right? Because when you don't get these alerts, you're not going to be alerted when something goes down on the planet. It comes down to the fact that you can't equate everything into a conspiracy theory, or everything's equated to a psychological operation. Like I said, we living in a time of the age of information, so it's imperative for them to give you the truth, but it's up to you to have the mental fortitude to decipher everything that they're telling you, right? So they put out these alerts on April 23rd of 2023, right? around 3 p.m. But everybody didn't get the alerts, which is also equated to the fact that you got to get this movie. You got to watch this movie called, let me find it. You got to watch this movie called Greenland. Now, this guy was a builder. He was a builder. He was a construction builder, which is also the symbology of a mason, right? Because masons are equated to the esoteric principles of building up architectural structures all throughout the geographical landmass of America. So now, he was one of the only ones on the planet that got the alert on his phone, right? He got a call right here from the United Nations, the Department of Homeland Security, right? He got a call from the Department of Homeland Security, which is also a form of an alert that something as a form of calamity that's about to take place on the planet, but everybody didn't get the alert. You see what I'm saying? Because they was only having some type of self-preservation for a certain demographic of people, you know, in the geographical landmass of America. So when he got the alert, that was when the inception point of when him and his family went to these underground tunnel systems to escape the calamity from the supernova, from the explosion of the sun, right? Because the planet was going through a shifting process, right? It was raising up in vibration, because we all know that a red sun is a dead star, right? So that's when you have the spontaneous combustion, right? So we're going to get back to the other movie here in a second, but I had to show you that because that's basically in alignment to a psychological operation through a socialization process of predictive programming, right? Because they telling you everything in these movies. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying everything is based on a form of judgment with the solar eclipse. That is the signs, you know, from the heavens. That is the signs from these higher dimensions that something's about to be taking place on the planet, right? Because everything is speeding up in vibration. So that's why it's imperative to understand that my elder, he told me that, let me find it. He told me that it's going to be a time on the planet where it's going to be 48 hours of intrinsic sunlight on the planet. There's not going to be a polarity of nighttime and daytime. It's going to be pure daytime, solar transmission hitting the planet for 48 hours. And that's when you're going to have the revealance of the so-called Christ figure, or the Messianic figure, which is going to basically be the false god, right? And anyone comes after that is actually the false god after the 48 hours of intrinsic solar radiation that's hitting the planet, 48 days of sunlight. So that's why they're giving you the reality of the Messiah, which is why Putin put this video out not too long ago, which is, I believe it's like 4 days old. But they showing you who their God is, who was actually Enlil, who is the jealous God of the Bible. I'm going to show you to you.
Did Vladimir Putin just show the world that Jesus is a black man?
See that? You even see that he has dreadlocks. You know what I'm saying? So they showing you right there, that is their veneration of their God. That is the propagation that's connected to all monotheistic religions on the planet, right? So with that being said, that's why it's imperative to understand why I showed this guy Enlil in the last video when I was talking about the coming of the false Messiah after a United States economic collapse, right? Which is Lord Maitreya, which is another nomenclature title for Enlil, right? And when you look at this, when you look at his picture, it looks exactly like the God that I was, you know, it looks just like him. He's right here in the middle. Right here where my arrow is, that is your form of the false Christ figure, who is the Maitreya. And he's going to come before the collapse of a system, right? So that's why, you know what I'm saying, everything is interconnected. When you look at my videos, it's basically like a big esoteric pie of information that's basically telling you about everything from the past all the way up into the future, right? So like I said, that's why they're trying to give you the concept of a messianic figure coming to the planet, because they know that the solar eclipse is the precursor to the day of the purification, which is galactical judgment from the real Most High, right? So that's why they're showing you everything right now. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's imperative to understand that everything on the planet is starting to speed up in vibration. That's why you having all these anomalies and everything in the skies, in our atmospheres. So this was happening in Georgia, because I told you, Georgia, not Georgia, but Detroit. Detroit is an energy center, right? It's one of the 7 energy centers in the geographical landmass of America, because it's in alignment with the Big Dipper star constellation. So that's how you know that this geographical landmass is actually the oldest geographical area on the planet, right? So like I said, the planet is speeding up in vibration. So this is why you having climate change is making plane turbulence worse. It can make flights bumpier and expensive. Now, back to this movie that I'm going to get into right now. This is your you guys' homework. Watch this movie Greenland, because it's equated to everything I'm talking about right now. But also watch this movie right here. It's called A Knock at the Cabin. Now, this movie is talking about how they have to have a form of a sacrifice in order to combat the polarity of the negativity of the planet going in a state of desolation, right? So they basically trying to save the planet. But within this movie, they show you a scene, like I've been telling y'all, stay off the airplanes. I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, to be fear mongering, but like I said, I got to give out the edification, because it's imperative to understand that information is transmuted into knowledge, and knowledge is the application of wisdom. So you got to use that wisdom in the form of to have some type of self-preservation if you really care about, you know, everything that's taking place on this planet right now. So it shows you in this movie that there's a scene in the movie where all the planes, is the airplanes, the commercial airlines, it's like 20 planes dropping from the sky and they're crashing. This is in the movie. And this movie just came out on Peacock. You can watch this on Peacock, or you got a jailbroken Fire Stick. Watch this movie right here after you watch this video. It's basically telling you everything that's taking place. What I've been telling y'all since like October, stay off the airplanes, right? I've been telling y'all that. So that's why it's imperative to watch this movie right here called The Knock at the Cabin, because it shows you, you know what I'm saying, mass calamity that's taking place on the planet, because everything that's connected to the electrical grid of the planet is connected to the infrastructure of the matrix system, right? So when all technological devices collapse, that means that everything that's connected to artificial intelligence is going to collapse as well, right? So that's why you having you know, the ozone layer and everything's being depleted. That's why they having so much problems in the atmosphere when it comes to these flights, right? So now this is why you have to understand that climate change is making the plane turbulence worse, and it can make flights bumpier and expensive, right? So now somebody just sent me this, but I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to get a copyright strike. It said that flight scares seen aboard 2 American airline planes. This was just 3 hours ago, right? Stay off the airplanes. I'm telling you, I know y'all want to go travel. Like I tell you, they doing all this stuff in a form of technology, trying to tell you can get, you know, passes of airplane trips for $3.99. You know what I'm saying? I think it was $2.99 to $3.99, but either way, like I said, that's a form of technology, because this is also connected to the World Economic Forum of the population programming, right? So now also you have the solar storm in 2023 can be dangerous as the scary Carrington event, right? So all these things is taking place on the planet because the planet is speeding up in vibration. It's kind of like the same thing when you go get a massage, right? It's activating everything that's connected to the lymphatic system, which is also connected to the endocrine system, which is also connected to the 7 energy cortexes, which is the chakras. So the planet has a chakra system. So when the planet is speeding up in vibration from the solar transmission, it's basically massaging the planet Earth, right? So what happens when you get a massage? You start to usurp all the enzymes and all the, everything that's basically acidic to the body. It puts the body right back into alignment. So the sun is putting the planet back into alignment, right? So it's the same thing. So like I told you, that's why you have volcanic eruptions in Costa Rica, right? Because the volcanoes, like I told you, is basically the pimples of planet Earth, right? You know what I'm saying? It's a parasitical energy. So that's why the planet started to cleanse itself. When you get a massage, when you get the body in alignment, that's why they be like, oh, you want a glass of water after you get a massage. Because like I said, it's another form of flushing parasites out of your body because you have a lot of blockages within your molecular structure. The planet has a lot of blockages due to a patriarchal energy that subjugated everything in nature. So nature's taking back the planet, right? So this is why you have volcanic eruptions, right? You got a volcanic eruptions in Russia, right? Which is followed by an earthquake. Everything, you know what I'm saying, that's taking place on the planet is a form of activation, because all these city-states, these nation-states are also corporations that's connected to the United States corporation, right? We all know that the United States is a corporation, but the corporation in itself is the reason why the planet is in a state of judgment, because the corporation is connected to the Canaanite bloodline, who is doing the work of the evil reptilian that's connected to the black nobility archons who control this realm, right? So everything is going, through a process of judgment. So this is why you had this volcanic eruption in Stromboli, Italy, right? I'm gonna play the video.
Showing Italy's Stromboli volcano erupting, sending up clouds of ash. You can see the volcano spewing those dark clouds while the volcano produced flashes of volcanic lightning. The Stromboli volcano started erupting on Sunday. It's located off the coast of Sicily. Officials say the intense explosive activity started happening before a larger explosion occurred in the crater.
Now, if you look closely at some of this, you can see lightning strike. That is pure plasma energy. Pure plasma energy when you look inside this volcanic eruption.
Italy's Stromboli volcano erupting, sending up clouds of ash. You can see the volcano spewing those dark clouds while the volcano produced flashes of volcanic lightning. The Stromboli volcano started erupting on Sunday. It's located off the coast of Sicily. Officials say the intense explosive activity started happening before a larger explosion occurred in the crater. The volcano has also triggered an earthquake and a tsunami. Incredible news.
So, like I said, everything is speeding up in vibration. You're supposed to be harmonizing with the planet. You're supposed to be reaping the benefits of reconfiguring your genetical sequence to harmonize with the planet, right? Otherwise, you're a parasitical entity to the planet. So, like I said, that's why I'm telling y'all, move out these big cities, because it's coming. You know what I'm saying? The day of great purification, the day of great calamity, the day of great galactical judgment, which is equated to the Great Reset. Everything is speeding up in vibration, right? This is your great awakening, right? This is the age of Aquarius. Everything, has a purification period on this planet, meaning that it operates in cycles. So this is the end of a cycle. So this is why you have a lot of calamity on the planet. So especially if you live in New York City, get out of New York City and get to the Midwest. Like I told you, the last video I put out, I showed you the safe zones on where to go. So you don't want to be on the coastlines, because the planet is going through a metamorphosis. It's going through an intrinsic shift, right? Because it's the end of the cycle. It's the end of the beast system, who is the Canaanite bloodline. I'm going to play this video. It says that the New York parking garage collapses 3 to 4 stories. Like I said, man, this is not, this is, you got to understand the dichotomy between fear mongering and me giving out edification. I'm just showing you this stuff. I'm showing you the problem so you can, deviate from it. Because a lot of people, even though they're, they conscious, they know about everything that's going on, but they really don't believe everything that's going on until it really happens to them. And by that time, it's going to be too late. Right? That's why it's imperative to understand, like I said, this solar eclipse, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be taking place, it's a galactical judgment. It puts an X over the planet, which is also equated to planet Xylanthia, planet X, which is the mothership, right? So this is all interconnected to planet Nibiru and all that stuff. This is why they're giving you the reality of the mothership and stuff like that. Because, you know, also X is also the symbology of a matriarchal energy that's connected to the woman, because the woman was on the planet before everybody, right? Because she has the intrinsic X chromosome, right? Which is connected to a form of parthenogenesis when you understand the mythology of the genealogy of Isis and things of that nature. We're not going to get into that. But like I said, X is also a representation of the mother energy, right? Divine mother that's connected to mother nature, which is connected to a matriarch. So that's why I'm saying everything that's being activated in a form of cosmological galactical judgment is also a form of the microcosm of the macrocosm. So whatever takes place in the heavens is basically going to orchestrate everything on planet Earth, right? So that's why I'm saying that's the symbology of it. So with that being said, for those of you who are coming in, like I said, it's equated to the fact that this solar eclipse, you know what I'm saying, that's passing through on April 8th, 2024, it's passing through 7 cities named Jerusalem, right? You got Jerusalem, not Jerusalem, but Salem. You got Salem, Kentucky, you got Salem, Ohio, Salem, Tennessee, Salem, Indiana, Salem, Missouri, Salem, New York, and Salem, Illinois. And I told you Salem, Illinois is right across from Carbondale, which is the symbology of Little Egypt, right? America is the oldest geographical landmass on the planet. That's why you got the oldest pyramids in this planet, right? So this is why this planet is being judged, because it was usurped by a Canaanite bloodline who came over here with missionaries and stole the birthrights to the people who belong to this geographical landmass, right? And they doing the bidding of draconian archons, who are black nobility, right? Who hide behind the scenes, right? So this is the end of their system, right? So now what you also got to understand is that from August 21st, 2017, from April 8th to 2024, that is exactly 7 years apart, right? That's exactly 7 years apart. And 7 is also equated to the symbology of judgment. So the planet is being judged. So all this stuff that's going to be taking place, all this stuff that people said was a conspiracy, oh, you getting ready to see that shit pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see it. So that's why I'm saying Salem. You go to Job, like I told you, the Bible is a metaphysical codex. You go to Job 3:14, right? And it tells you right here, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near the valley of decision. Because the cities that pass through right here on April 8th, 2024, this line right here, all these cities are in alignment to all the Salems in the geographical landmass of America, which is the valley of the shadow of death, right? So now we're going to go back. Now the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of the Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, Salem, right? And the heavens and the earth shall shake, earthquakes, calamity, desolation. But the Lord will be the hope of his people, who are the chosen people, the so-called melanated people who was usurped from the birthright from the Canaanite bloodline, who are being controlled by draconian reptilian archons, black nobility, and the strength of his children of Israel, right? This is all interconnected. You stop. This is why, like I said, you can't be so conscious. You're not conscious if you negate the Bible. You cannot castigate that publication, because it's a Freemasonic playbook about everything that's taking place on the planet, right? But you just cannot read it at a one-dimensional level. You got to read this Bible like it's a codex, right? It's basically a puzzle. It's a chess piece to everything that's going on the planet on a galactical level, right? So like I said, now you got this solar eclipse, an annual solar eclipse that's going to be taking place on October 14th, which is my birthday, right? I don't really know what that means for me, you know what I'm saying, from an individual standpoint. But like I said, my birthday's on the solar eclipse. That is the precursor to the total solar eclipse in April 24, right? Because that energy from the solar eclipse on my birthday is the energy that's basically going to alley-oop the judgment process. Because when you understand the symbology of October, it's equated to Libra, and Libra is the scales of justice, to where the planet is being judged by going back into balance, the scales of justice, right? So that's why it's imperative to understand everything that's going on right now on the planet. So this is why you're seeing all types of stuff on the planet. This is happening in near me, somewhere in Indiana. You had a sonic boom anomaly that happened in the atmosphere in Greenwood, Indiana. I'm gonna play the video. You know, this is how you know everything is going to be taking place, because you're seeing all these signs in the stars. You're seeing all the signs in the, you know, in our atmosphere, which is not a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence that everything is taking place on this planet like this. So that's why I'm saying they're giving you the perception of a messianic figure coming to this planet. That's why Vladimir Putin, he put out that video, you know what I'm saying? He put out that video talking about the Messiah. Because they know that the false Messiah is connected to Black nobility, who is the Maitreya, who is Enlil, right? That's who all the United Nations, these world corporations, they show their veneration to do, because Enlil, who is actually the god of all monotheistic religion and the god of the Bible, right? Who is actually Lucifer, right? He is the god of the three-dimensional construct. Like I told you, Satan separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension to where you have an atmosphere in a fermented dome, and the fermented dome is being controlled by archons who control the three-dimensional construct. So that's why this is the end of a system. This is why the planet is being judged, right? It's being judged because these archons stole the birthright of a chosen people who is connected to the seeds of Enki. When you break down the etymology of the word Enki, it means Lord of the earth. So we have dominion to the planet by way of bloodline. So everything that's taking place on the planet, like I said, I'm not, you know, promoting fear. I'm just showing you what's going on and what's taking place, and how we should be proactive and look at this stuff and take it very seriously, right? Because I don't want it to be one of those things where people look at certain stuff and then be like, oh, I should have listened to him. No, look at this video and be proactive and do something about your situation. It's a time, you know what I'm saying? We damn near got like a year or 2 years to relocate, you know what I'm saying, to escape these calamities. Because like I said, this planet, right, is being judged. This geographical landmass of America is being judged. The corporation is being judged. All these things that's connected to nation states and city states, that's connected to the United States corporation, is being judged, right? So that's why the economic system is starting to collapse, because the economic system is connected to the Canaanite bloodline, because the Canaanites were the ones who control the Federal Reserve System that's connected to the CCP, which is why Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, because they was funneling money to the Ukrainian mafia, which is also the Khazarian mafia that's connected to the Hyksos dynasty bloodline that infiltrated ancient Kemet, right? So this is why, like I said, everything is interconnected. You know, you got to look at things from a theological perception, cosmological, astrological. You can't just be so fixated on the Bible. You got to understand multitudes of information to put this puzzle together, right? So with all that being said, man, get this video out there. Like I said, Illuminati, I'm on to you. I know what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not a coincidence that all 7 cities from the solar eclipse that's going to be taking place on April 8th, 2024, it goes through 7 cities called Salem, which is equated to Jerusalem, right? It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. So with all that being said, get this video out there. You know, stay vigilant, stay militant minded. End of transmission.